Yes. So speaking of that, there's a connection with mental health then. Mental health and with for sure there has to be a connection there. So speak a bit about how mental health and that connection comes forward, especially in your work and the things that you write about with Black men and Black youth, and this push for mental health.
Right. Um, Probably 1994. Let's back up a little bit. I've been very well read all my life. That comes from my grandmother. Um,
Mhm.
I've been reading probably before the average kid read. I was very precocious as a kid. From the age of 5, when we first got the encyclopedia, what was it? I can't think. World something encyclopedia. I remember it'll pop into my head in a minute, but we got them. Um, and my grandmother saw that I wanted this. I grew up during a time the encyclopedia salesman literally came by the house. The
Yes.
vacuum cleaner
Yes.
salesman, the milkman, the linen, everybody came by the house. And so
Hmm.
encyclopedia salesman came by. I'm 5 years old. He's doing his pitch, and my grandmother's looking at me, and my eyes are this big because I loved anything with words on it. And so she bought them. And from the age of 5 to 10, I read them all.
Hmm.
So it's just been that thing for me, a quest for knowledge, a quest for knowledge, a quest for knowledge. So then I get to this point where I know I'm either going to be a psychologist because I love human behavior, or I'm going to be an attorney. My 11th
Hmm.
grade year, I come home from school and I walk in, and on the Phil Donahue show is a lady by the name of Dr. Frances Cress Wilson. And she is defending her Crest theory of color confrontation. And this is 1985, so this is literally on the heels of the black intellectual inferiority complex thing that they were pushing in the early 80s. So to see a black woman speaking so powerfully and confidently in defense of a theory in front of her male counterparts at that,
Yes.
just blew my mind. So I said, "Oh, it is psychology," and it was full steam ahead. And then I discovered Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. Naeem Akbar, Dr. Neely Fuller Jr., and some others within that realm. Definitely Dr. Akbar and Dr. Amos Wilson had a major influence on the shaping of how I think and how I move and what I
Hmm.
observe. And so my goal just became to learn from them and then to take what they left and build on it. And where all of this started for me was in the middle of the 90s. That was this argument. Back then, it was 30 years ago. So it's been 120 something years. Get over it. Slavery was
Right.
120 years ago. Get over it. And I knew enough about trauma to understand that without trauma being treated, it projects itself. What
Hmm.
I didn't know would be what I discovered. And so what happened is it started out as a research into multi-generational trauma or intergenerational trauma and how
Hmm.
it projects itself. And in the process, I discovered so many things, including epigenetics
Hmm.
and genetic influence of trauma and health and all the other things that epigenetics plays a role in. And so then I just started to build on that. And the more I learned, the more I saw the influence, but I also saw that when we talk about epigenetics, we talk about the negative side all the time, about negative environmental influences and its impact on genes, negative trauma and its influence on genes, and the projection through procreation and environment. What
Yes.
what we don't visit is it's a full scope. So in the same way that negative environments creates poor health and poor performance, positive environments create the opposite. So you can literally heal yourself by putting yourself in a positive environment and you see the results. So that's been my push, that's been my drive, is just to in some way effectively disseminate all this stuff that I've been consuming. And it's like I could easily probably write another 25 books, and I'll,
And I don't doubt that. I do not doubt that.
I'll be writing until I finally leave this place, just trying to leave something for someone else to pick up and take and advance it, because it's so much to know that no one will ever know it all.
Yes.
But the more that we invest in it, the better we are at helping people. And I believe that people like yourself and myself, we have a responsibility to be a blessing in the way that we see it. Everybody sees blessings on a superficial level. I see blessings as a means of how I impact you outside of what everybody thinks, beyond money,
Mhm.
beyond what I may be able to give you intangible. How do you think about yourself after I deal with you?
Mm,
It's huge with me.
mhm, mhm, absolutely. So then speaking of, positive environments and that sort of thing, so then that's what you're creating, essentially, are these positive environments then for people, Black men specifically, to come in to find the healing space, and then for them to go out and then be a conduit to reach other people and heal those communities and those circles and networks that they're connected to as well.
I mean, in short, yes. And
Yeah.
I think that one of the songs, it's become one of my favorite songs, and I was just introduced to it a couple of weeks ago. It's by a Canadian rapper who actually does some singing. He has a country pull to it, and he did the song initially by himself. Then he came back and he did the remix with Darius Rucker, who used to be the
Okay.
lead singer for Hootie and the Blowfish.
Hootie and the Blow. Yes.
Okay, and Darius is real big in country right now. So they did it,
Mhm.
and the name of the song is "To Be a Man."
Okay.
And uh, I think the hook part of it says, um, "I can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand, but I hope that I
Mhm.
can explain what it's like to be a man." And it goes on to say that they don't really care how we feel. It's only about what we provide in the home. And you talk to men and we feel that way, but we don't have an outlet to say it because the moment I
Mhm.
say I'm struggling, I'm weak.
Mhm.
So the mental pressure that deals from feeling in a world where you were told you're not allowed to feel
Mhm.
comes with, and we see it, and that's the frustration that I deal with almost daily is we see it. The man who explodes, kills his wife or his
Mhm.
ex-girlfriend, and we see the vitriol in the destruction, and we see it, and we rightfully judge him for doing something horrible. You know, you see it, monster, horrible,
Yes.
trifling, all these names, and no one ever says that man used to be a 3-year-old who had none
Mhm.
of that hatred in them. What?
Mhm.
And you have to be willing to answer that question to deal with that problem. It's not about giving poor behavior a pass, it's about preventing it. But in order to
Yes.
prevent it, I've got to know how it starts. And it
Mhm.
starts with telling a young boy, real men don't cry, telling a young
Mhm.
boy that you don't have time to feel, you know, you just got to get out there. And then what will happen is we'll take that same thing from that song where it says that uh it's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home.
Mhm.
Why shouldn't those who I am providing the home for care about how I feel? And why should I feel bad? Because I need somebody to care about how I feel. But the average man will teach this to his son. You don't have the luxury of feeling.
Yes.
You go out there and you get it done. That's what men do. Yes,
Mhm.
but we also have this thing about us that heal. When our women affirm us,
Mhm.
just something as simple as, I love the way you do that. Thank you for doing that. You were so, you don't realize we are wired. We'll run through walls to hear that. The
Yes.
problem is there's a mindset out there now that says, why should we celebrate you for doing what you're supposed to do? Not
Mm.
realizing that that celebration is what drives me to do it. And then
Mhm.
when it's not there, and then I don't have anybody I can talk to, and now we're like, I can't even go tell my boy, because when I tell my boy, he gonna look at me like, man, suck it up. This is what
Yes.
we do. So now I'm over here suffering on an island, and
Mhm.
it doesn't change the impact that it's having, the neurobiological impact, the genetic impact, the psychological impact that it's having on me. And one
Mhm.
day it just pops.
Mhm.
And so it's something else, but yes.